Okay, sorry for being late today. So we are expected to start chapter number 13 today, and it will be easy because it will be based on the previous chapter, which is ER or entity relationship diagram. علينا وعليكم جميعا. Okay, so the objectives of this chapter slide, have you noticed that I have uploaded the supporting materials for the all covered chapters? I have uploaded it in supporting materials folder, all right? So you can find it there. Of course, not everything is covered in that, but just only few things, important things and concepts, all right? Again, you need to refer to the book and let's say the chapter slides as well. So this chapter main objectives are limitations. So we are going to focus on some limitations of the ER diagram or ER model and why we need to enhance it to become EER. Okay, so basically this chapter slide will be about improving the entity relationship data model to become an enhanced or improved entity relationship model. All right, so there are two main processes we need to focus on: specialization and generalization. All right, so the main concept of EER or enhanced ER the model is the specialization and generalization. Okay, and that can be discussed with or by providing the concept of superclass and subclass. So the main entity will be superclass. The main entity type will be superclasses, and what comes under the superclass will be known as subclasses. All right. So there are these two concepts. All right, representing the specialization and generalization processes. So this technique can be displaying EER using UML notation. Okay, Unified Modeling Language, which is EER. So we are going to focus on that. Right. So why we need to enhance the ER model? Actually, the ER model is not providing all information about or representing all details about the organization, especially for the complex data or complex enterprises, all right, or complex systems. So ER model is not adequate for building data models of traditional administrative, it's not adequate to build data model for modern administrative database. So it's only enough for stock control, all right, product ordering. It's okay to use ER model to represent these kind of systems, all right. Customer invoicing. So all these are traditional systems that can be presented, or information about these systems can be represented in a more understandable way using the ER model. Okay, so this is can be used for the traditional model. But if we are talking about the modern administrative database system, like what? Like more complex applications, like for example, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, computer-aided software engineering tools, office information systems, multimedia system, digital publishing, geographical information systems. All these are complex systems. And it's not enough to have just an ER model to represent information or all information of these systems or complex systems. All right. So it's not sufficient to represent the requirements, all the requirements of these complex systems. We need to add more semantic modeling concepts. What are the more semantic modeling concepts? That are the specialization and generalizations used in the EER. Okay. So let's talk about the specialization and generalization as main processes of enhancing the ER modeling. So as I said, there are two concepts we can divide, or we can have two types of entity types. All right, two types of entities, like superclass, which includes, and subclass. Okay, superclass will include one or more distinct subgrouping, so it might include more than one subclass. So it's like, for example, group or subgrouping of subclasses will be under a superclass. Like, for example, if I talk about staff entity, okay, staff can be different types, like managers, supervisors, and workers. Yeah, exactly. So we have three subgroupings. What we call that staff, superclass, exactly. And what we call all under, yeah, all subgroupings under the superclass, these are subclasses. All right. So this is just an example, like staff is a superclass. All right. So staff is a superclass, and the subclasses here in this example are, for example, workers, as you said, like managers and supervisors. Okay, so these are subclasses. So it's, what is the meaning of superclass? It's, as we said, it's entity type that includes one or more distinct subgroupings of its occurrences, and it can be represented in a data model. The subclass is a distinct subgrouping, like workers, managers, supervisors, of occurrences of an entity type, like of staff. So workers is a subgrouping of occurrences of a staff superclass. All right. It requires also to be, it requires to be represented in a data model. Okay. Now, as I said, there are so many examples for the subclasses. So each member of staff can be classified as manager or sales personnel or secretary, for example. So these are subclasses, and the staff is the superclass. Exactly. So superclass here is the staff, and all these are subclasses. So subgroupings or subclasses. Now the relationship between or among them, among the superclass and subclass, we call it superclass subclass relationship. Okay, so what we call the relationship between the superclass and subclass, we call it superclass subclass relationship. Yes, but just you are taking the main one and then slash the subgrouping. All right. We can say some few concepts related to these two main terms. Each member of a subclass is also a member of the superclass. Okay. I'm sorry. So, for example, each member of staff of workers is a member of staff. Each member of secretaries is a member of staff. So this is a role, like a role. All right. And so the relationship, also you need to put in your mind, the relationship between the superclass and subclass is 1-to-1. Okay, 1-to-1 only. We cannot say one to many. We cannot say many to many. It's 1-to-1 relationship. All right. Also, superclasses may contain overlapping or distinct subclasses. Overlapping means, like, for example, a manager is a sales personnel manager. So it's overlapping to within one superclass, there are overlapping subclasses. from personnel, sales personnel, and manager. So from manager, he is a manager, and he is also a sales personnel. So manager of the personnel department. Sales personnel department is having overlapping subclasses. So we call it here overlapping. Okay. What does it mean? It means that the manager, the staff, it has, or the manager himself, he can be one member of manager subclass and one member of sales personnel. All right, so two subclasses. He shared two subclasses, so it's called overlapping subclass. How about distinct subclass? For example, the secretary. The secretary cannot be manager, for example, or sales personnel, only secretary. So it's distinct subclass. Okay. So there are two types of subclasses. One, overlapping, including two shared, let's say, subclasses, or two shared superclass, and there are two subclasses under that, sharing same like superclass, manager and sales personnel, and number two, distinct subclass. Okay. So member of staff who is both manager and sales personnel. Now put this in your mind. Not all members of a superclass need to be a member of a subclass. Not all of them. But in the other direction, all member. Yeah, exactly. All member of a subclass must be a member of a superclass. But if we take it in reverse, not all of the superclass members need to be a member of a subclass. Like, for example, not all member of staff need to be managers. Not all member of staff need to be secretaries. Okay? All right. So we use these two terms in order to differentiate between two types of or different types of staff. In the ER model, we cannot do that. In the ER simple model, entity relationship model, we cannot have all this semantic information added to the ER model. So we can also differentiate between the shared attributes. For example, we have two types of attributes in this case. We have two types of attributes. Like, for example, we have shared attributes in the superclass, and all subclasses will be sharing same attributes, and the other type, specific attributes related to each subclass. For example, I'll just give you an example here. See, in this example, you can see that these are attributes of all these three types. For example, the staff, we have staff number, name, position, salary. These attributes are shared types of subclasses. Okay, but let's talk about the manager, bonus, and start date. Is it shared or only specifically created for the manager subclass? Okay, and also attributes appropriate for sales personnel, like sales area and car allowance. Okay, it's not related to managers or related to other member of staff. It's only appropriate for sales personnel. Also for the secretary, you can see here typing speed for the secretary only. So this is an attribute specifically created or appropriate for secretary member of staff. So you can see if we merge all attributes together, if you are talking about ER model, all these attributes will be merged together. So in this case, there will be too many nulls, right? Nulls, because not all member of staff of a superclass need to be a member of not all members in the superclass need to be members in the subclasses. So there will be nulls. All right, so you can see here, in this case, there will be nulls. In order to prevent this, we can just have the terms superclass and subclass we can divide to attribute types. So the shared one will be within the superclass itself, and the specific ones will be separately divided within the subclasses. Okay, how this will be represented. So this is also same. It's saying that it says sales personnel have common attributes. Okay, like staff number, name, position, and salary. But there are unshared attributes as well, which will cause more nulls in this relation. Like, for example, car allowance, and so on and so on. Okay. So why we are using superclasses? You know now why we use superclasses and subclasses in the ER models. We enhance it. There are two reasons. Number one, to avoid describing similar concepts more than once. All right. So it will save time for the designer and make it more readable, make the ER more readable. Number two, to add more semantic info, like, for example, dividing the types of stuff using the generalization and specialization. Now, after discussing this, you have an idea about generalization and specialization. Can you just give me, based on your understanding, can you give me like a super class? Sorry, like, for example, an example, not a super, an example about the generalization. The term generalization means we are generalizing things. So are we talking about superclass or subclass generalization? Exactly, because we are generalizing. Yeah, exactly. And how about specialization? The subclasses. Specific, yeah, exactly. Exactly, Qasim. Yes. So now you know these two processes based on what we have discussed just from a while. All right. So an entity in a subclass represents the same real-world object. Okay, in a subclass, same real-world object. So this is same will be represented as in the superclass. And there might be subclass specific attributes and also plus shared attributes, as we said. So what is? So as we said, a subclass. What is a subclass? It's an entity in its own right. Okay. And it may also have one or more subclasses. Also, the subclass might have more subclasses. All right. And this is something we call type hierarchy. Type hierarchy. It means that a subclass and all their subclasses can share some characteristics together. So this is the type hierarchy, which means it gives levels of superclass then subclass. All right. So type hierarchy means when an entity and its subclasses and their subclasses. So superclass, subclass, and subclasses. All this can be known as. Yeah, of course, it can be many. Now there are types of hierarchies. We have different types of hierarchies. We have specialization hierarchy. Specialization means, like, for example, manager, as you mentioned, manager is a specialization of staff. All right. And generalization hierarchy. So specialization hierarchy is a type of hierarchy. A generalization hierarchy is the opposite. Staff is a generalization of manager. All right. And is a hierarchy. What is a? It's like the relationship among them. So manager is a member of staff. Okay. So these are types of hierarchies. As we said, there are shared subclass. like sales personnel is a manager. There are attributes that can be shared, like let me just check here. When a subclass with more than one superclass, it's called shared subclass. Okay, it's called shared subclass. This is if a subclass has more than one superclass, like more than one parent. It's like parenting. Okay. So what is the meaning of specialization and generalization? These are, as you said, the specialization, we are in the specialization, this is number one, we are maximizing the differences between members in an entity type. So maximizing the differences, like for example, staff, we maximize the difference, we divide it into managers, secretaries and sales personnel. So it's a top-down approach. We define set of superclasses first, and then we define subclasses. So we start from the defining superclass. So we define the stuff, then we define all types of these subclasses. Okay. So there are some distinguishing characteristics of these entity in the superclasses. While we can have this one. Sorry, let's just have a general term, and then we will continue next time. All right. So we said this is specialization, but on the other hand, the generalization is the process of minimizing the differences between entities by identifying their common characteristics. So generalization is process number two. As we said, we minimize the difference. So we take the subclasses, defining the subclasses, managers versus personnel secretary, and then minimize all differences between them, and then we define the superclass, which is the staff. So this is the generalization. So it's about the superclass, okay, the general term of it. So it's the reverse of specialization. The reverse of specialization. Do you have any question, guys? Any question? Next time, inshallah, we are going to discuss more details about EER. So if you have any question, do you have any question? Do you have any question? All right. Thank you so much for attending today. Inshallah, see you next time.